Hi, I'm Dr. Vonda Wright, and this is Hot for Your Health. Join us for conversations on the bleeding edge of science, health, and culture as we bring you tech innovators, thought leaders, and the movers and shakers who are transforming science fiction into your new health reality. Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Vonda Wright, and welcome to another episode of Hot for Your Health. You know, every single week I bring you fascinating guests, but this week's guest is extra special. He's a two-time Stanley Cup champion who played 13 years in the NHL. He was an on-air personality doing color commentary, a businessman. He is the father of a blended family of 6 amazing children, and he is my husband. So I have brought today Peter Taglianetti to Hot for Your Health, and I'm so glad you're here today.
Well, I'm glad you finally invited me.
I know it's been years, right? I mean, I've been keeping you kind of in a closet.
I've been hearing about all this stuff, and now I get a chance to see it.
Well, with a man this hot, I got to keep you away from all my million people,
Yeah.
right? No, you know what? I'm sorry I haven't brought you earlier because we talk about what we're going to talk about today all the time at home. So if you're at home with us after I come home from work and Peter, you're now retired, however, from your day job. But even when you worked 14 hours a day and would come home, we would still do the same thing. We would sit on the couch together, kind of reconnect, watch some TV, just relax and talk about stuff. We talk about men for menopause a lot because I've made it through this time of my life and now I'm firmly postmenopausal. But I mean, we were married from the best physical time in my life through perimenopause, now postmenopause. And so I just wanted to get your perspective on what it's like to go through it, advice you have for the other husbands out there, and in the kind of way we talk, hopefully we'll get some great information for
Well,
people.
first of all, thank God it's over. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm kidding. No.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, it's funny. It's you hear some of the horror stories. I hate to use. I don't want to use the word horror stories, but
It's hard.
It's hard, and you hear some of the comments, the editorials that people put out there, and it's always a butt of a joke. And you know, the wife's going through menopause. Oh my God, you know, blah 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 blah. Life's horrible type thing. But I remember when the kids were going through their changes, you know, at age 12, 13, and 14, and it was.
Rough.
It was rough. I mean, you had no idea what they were thinking. You had they wouldn't talk to you know. So you kind of had an idea what was going on, but and I do have to say with you, there wasn't any real like horrible bad times. There were times that you came home that you didn't feel like talking and you didn't really understand it, that type thing. And I really kind of understood what you're going through is when I can stand in the middle of an ice rink with a pair of shorts on and sweat. And so the rooms at nighttime have to be ice cold, and for the longest time you would wrap yourself up in like 3-4 blankets and away you go. And then all of a sudden, you know, one day it's like you kicked all the blankets off, you're just laying there like you know, it's funny. And it's like when you were a kid with no air conditioning, you know, you go to bed at night and you run into the shower real quick, and you know, you take a shower, you run into bed, just lay there.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid to move because you start sweating again.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's where it came in that, wow, it's a real medical problem that women have that I don't think people give it justice.
So the way I describe my menopause experience, I'll tell you how I describe it publicly, and because you've just said it didn't seem that hard. And I think part of that was I wasn't, in the beginning, I didn't exactly know what was going on because I am a self-learner. I'm now self-educated. I consider myself an expert in this now. But in the beginning, this is how I describe it. I talk about the fact that at 40, which is about around the age you met me, at 40, I was in the best shape of my life, training all the time. In the beginning of my career, really pushing hard.
So you're saying I dragged you down from age 4?
Are you responsible?
I started this.
Are you responsible for my menopause? I don't think so.
The timing of it.
Oh, no. Okay, but if you want to take the blame, then no. So at 40, all these good things, right? Best shape of my life, really strong. I had just had Isabella, churning through my career. And at 47, I thought I was going to die. And that's when I laid like a starfish trying to stay cool in the bedroom, right? I call it my thermometer leg. I would stick my thermometer leg out just to try to evaporate some heat. I don't know if you remember, but I had insomnia a lot.
You had so many things going on, from your clinical practice, your surgeries, all these things going on. A lot of times you just didn't realize that, what the change was happening, or was more of work type related stuff that you
just more stress,
and it's not verbalizing it, didn't really understand it, and you didn't verbalize it that well, and I didn't understand it, and I wasn't asking the right questions. But watching your videos and all the things, and people were commenting, and when I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what happened. All that stuff happened, at that particular time in our lives.
Do you think that your experience in not recognizing what was going, or just not even knowing the words, because I didn't say the words to you until I learned what was going on, do you feel like it's a pretty common experience? Let's talk about the girl room, right? Where after you play golf, would you say on the average girl room where men hang out, it's a pretty unknown, right? It's not something that most men really understand. They just know something is going on with my wife.
Yeah, and not a lot of them don't give a shit.
Well, there is that.
It's always funny to get with a group of guys. The first thing like they'll say something, like joking around, whatever, joking about their wives and stuff like that, or my wife was yelling at me, she must, go through menopause. And I think those are the jokes that you hear all the time. I probably said it a few times too.
You did?
I don't know. I don't
How
think so.
dare you?
I don't think so. But I think the lack of knowledge.
Yes, the lack of knowledge.
The lack of communication. And the other part of it is, if the wife's working, she's full time doing something, the husband's working full time, they're both tired. They don't realize, and that communication part of it at 7 o'clock at night, they're going to bed in an hour and a half. They're not going to do a lot of that talking in. And I think that's probably half the battle. The other part of it too is, and men go through a change too.
You think so?
Yeah, your body takes a downturn. There's certain times in the month you feel unbelievable. And then there's other times you're like, all right, well, I'm okay, no big deal. But then all of a sudden it's like, I feel great. It must be, something in this, in your cycle of whatever is going on. And I don't think a lot of men understand what's happening in their lives. And just to make things even backtrack a little bit, a few years ago, you made me go get all my blood work done.
Yes, I did.
And you got everything tested, and I was, working.
Healthy, so healthy.
And I was, I was outside. I was in construction at the time, and I was outside all the time. And when they gave me the results, and it was like, well, I was totally deficient in vitamin D, totally deficient in vitamin B. It was like I thought I was really healthy and everything was going on, and then they give you the testosterone level, and it was, I think mine was like 780 or 790 or something like that. But they said, well, we don't know. We didn't test you when you were 21.
There, it's true. We
So
don't know what it was.
Maybe I should be up a little higher, but the one that got me was
Your estrogen was low.
My estrogen was high.
Oh, your estrogen was
high. And so I was the butt of the jokes for a few times when I told people that story, and they were like, oh my God, really? I said, yeah, I guess the guy said that too. Yeah, did not know that. And so now, age 60, I understand a lot of this stuff now, and I just got retested, like blood work, and I have an underactive thyroid that all of a sudden I got to take medication for. Well, now this is another part of the system that men have to go through as well. But I'm sure women, when they get all their blood work done, and there's a lot of different, from the hormones to different chemicals in their body that they have to adjust just to get through that. But then a lot of times, if you notice, I'm assuming, and I shouldn't assume, but from age 35, having kids and all that stuff, and you kind of stop taking care of yourselves for a while. A lot of women,
it's hard,
and now you have to get back into the system, but you're trying to get back in the system, going through a change like this, and it's even harder.
Well, that was my experience, and you brought up so many good things that there's a lack of knowledge. Like, you had no idea. I actually had no idea until I had a huge idea, and then communication, because I think couples get into a pattern of solving the day-to-day problems in our lives, like who's getting the groceries, how are we managing the carpool, What are we doing with all our kids? But then really talking about how we're feeling may have gone on just to the wayside. We're so busy with life. But
well, you've always said it that was it 80% of the medical decisions in the
are made by women.
made by women who don't do anything for themselves.
True.
And so that's something that you know, that is what you and everybody that you're associated with are trying to get women to do: take care of themselves earlier. And then when it does happen, all right, it might be a little tough, but we're going to work through this. And you'll be stronger. You're this, and you're more fit. And when you do go through that change, it's easier to fight through it, or maybe come out of it a little bit sooner.
Well, so let's build. I'm going to tell you the responses I get from women when I talk about how they should talk to their husband. And then after I introduce it, I want us to come up with 3 or 4 very tactical, here are the 4 things you need to say to your husband so he knows what you're living through. So when I ask women about their husband's response on Instagram or wherever I am, I either get responses that, he's really trying to understand, he's in this with me, we're equal partners, which is what I say our relationship is like, and I'm thankful for that. I also, unfortunately, get a lot of women who say, I am done raising this man-child. It is time to focus on me. And so we've got this dichotomy of women, and yet all of them are in a relationship. So if we're going to try to bridge the gap between women really suffering, this is no joke, menopause and the transition, and men who undoubtedly love these women and have varying interests in understanding, what did I need to say to you in a more clear way in retrospect so that you're like, oh, this is real shit?
Well, I think I've said this for years with the kids. If the bone's not sticking out of your leg and you're not bleeding to death, there's no issues.
Well, we do say that because we're a sports family.
So,
because I'm a sports doctor, you're a pro athlete, but does that apply here?
No, but that's what I'm saying. But that's my thinking as a guy, as an ex athlete, that you. If somebody comes to you and says, well, I'm not feeling it. What do you mean you're not feeling that well? What do you mean? I mean, are you hurt? Are you sprain your ankle? You break your ankle?
What's the advice? So that's the framework.
So I think, but the point is that if you came to me, at age 45, and said, hey, I'm not feeling that well, I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what am I supposed to do about that? One of those type things. But I think if the conversation starts way earlier than that, hey, listen, coming up, few years, so we need to start figuring this kind of stuff out, that they're already prepared and it's already in the back of their mind, and it's not just like, boom, hitting them right in the face and trying to figure out on the spot. I think that'd be ideal even for me, because even though you didn't really communicate what was going on, you didn't, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. And you didn't either. But what you're trying to do now is educate everybody. Says, these are the things that are happening. But I think that before age 45, when it happens at 50,
throes of it.
Yeah, you need to. This is going to happen. This is going to feel like I'm going to be sweating my ass off all the time. I'm going to have these hot flashes. I'm going to do this and blah blah blah. I think that needs to be out there before it hits them. And now they're trying to scramble to catch up.
But I think it can be a family conversation, because within the men's health world, there are huge conversations about longevity and about the very question of what is my testosterone at 40? Because now when I'm trying to supplement it and at 60, what should it have been? Because 780 for you might be your 40-year-old testosterone, or it may be half, and we don't know. Right. So we could frame this as a family health conversation when you start midlife. All of our children, except we have a blended family of 6 children. The oldest is almost 36. And so when you enter midlife, which is about age 40, right? Because if we're living to 80, 40 is right in the middle. When you are entering midlife, it could be an amazing conversation to have with your spouse that, we're not kids anymore. We have kids. Our kids are getting independent. Our health is going to change. Let's get your testosterone and your labs drawn. I'm going to get mine drawn because I'm about to go through perimenopause, and it's going to be a big change for our family. I think that's a wonderful way to reframe.
Why not get tested at age 20?
How about that? I mean, our son did. Andrew did.
Yeah,
He is very proactive.
very proactive. He
Yeah,
really
he's
wants
great
to.
at it.
But he's also 33, college football player, and really, but imagine what he would look like. I mean, if at age 20 when they did it, when he was in college, get his and get all. So you have a baseline. It's like the concussion test.
Sure.
You get the baseline, and if whatever happens, that you're going to have something to look back at and say, whoa, no, my testosterone or my estrogen should be here, or my vitamin D should be here, or whatever the case is. But I think the longer you go without it, you said this before, once you get in adulthood, I mean, you feel good, but there are things that just change in your body as you age, and it's getting lower and lower and lower. So at age 40, maybe that's the time when you really start picking it up.
I like that a lot. Reframing it and having for both the each side of the couple having baseline conversations. So that's number one. We're going to get hand 4 things to the people who are listening this on how to function as a couple through menopause. What would be the second thing? We'll do it this way, that the woman going through menopause should tell her partner, and then we'll go the other way, what the partner should tell, and I know what you're going to say, but what's the second thing that I should have told you?
I don't know what you could have told me. I think in the explanation of what exactly is
What is it?
what exactly is menopause.
Yeah.
From Archie Bunker, from the 70s, saying the change, Edith, the change.
Yeah.
You're not doing that change again, are you, Edith? One of those type. Men are naive to what exactly.
Well, and men our age their mothers didn't talk about it.
No.
Yeah, they didn't talk about anything. So how would they know, people? You can't expect these men who had the misfortune of not being born with ovaries.
Yeah, that's a horrible thing.
What's going on? So we have to take the responsibility to learn ourselves and then communicate that. But here's the deal, Peter.
But the other thing too.
What?
No, just real quick. You don't even really hear about it in the media. I mean, and you know what I mean? It's like it's like the
Not on ESPN.
no, but it's it's happening. We'll just sweep it over here and not worry about it. And so you don't see a lot of, well, now we do. I mean, because you guys are really
The menopause is talking about it.
Yeah, and so other than that, is like you would never see anything on, your Facebook, or Instagram or anything like that. Yeah. Any of this type of stuff. Most of the things you had was, like men with Viagra. You get all those, you get 9 million.
Well, don't start. There are 29 drugs for erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, but I mean,
we can't get one for menopause. I mean, let's not get into that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, those are the advertisements you always got.
Of course.
And nothing, you never saw anything for women.
Right. Well, that's the next thing, right? So if I were to ask you, I've asked you this before, Peter, what do men need to know? I mean, you've been very frank with me about the change in my libido and the change in sex was hard to get over, although hopefully we've come to common ground on that more. But the fact is, I think that's really hard for people, especially if the woman is not communicating, I'm going through menopause. There are real hormonal changes going on, and the man just feels rejected. Like, what's wrong with me now? It didn't used to be this way. So I feel like there needs to be a better conversation about that.
Well, you talk about anytime you talk about sex, it's a conversation that either needs to be said or has to be an understanding about it. And I'm assuming men, when they get to the point where they can't perform anymore, they're quiet about it. They're not going to say anything. And
I don't know if they just go and get their online Viagra and make it all better.
Yeah, and so and then the prostate issues for men, and there's a lot of things that guys don't want to ever talk about it, and it was like taboo to mention anything about your manhood in public, and even with your best friends talking about it. I mean, now recently, like I talk to my friends from Boston all the time. It's like all of a sudden they're going to get heart checkups. They're going to get all these things. They're doing, and it's fun. But the conversation's starting to open up a little bit about different things. And, so I think it's just the men have to get it past their head that everybody else goes through it. Now they just have to figure out, if it's them going through it now or they're leading up to it, and how to change it. And there are medical things they can go get checked out and kind of nip it in the bud before it gets full blown on them.
So far, what we've gone over is we're going to reframe the midlife conversation so it becomes like a family conversation. What's going on with one partner? What's going on with the other partner? Everybody needs labs. Everybody needs to understand the health changes that are about to happen in midlife, number one. Number two, as women educate themselves about the midlife transition, we talk about, using words that we haven't used yet. I call 35 to 45 the critical decade to get your shit together, right? Mm-hmm. You're passing through your childbearing years. You're starting to have the health changes. That's how I frame it for people. It's time to get it together. Because at 45, we hit perimenopause. At 52-ish is the menopause. And then for the rest of our lives, we're post. And that kind of explanation that I just gave, I think would be very critical. Just even 5 minutes to say, okay, honey, this is what the next 15 years I'm going to be going through. We'll figure it out together. And that, to the third point, is I just think couples need to trust each other enough to talk about it. And the fact that we didn't talk about it initially had more to do with the fact that I didn't know yet. Yeah. And now I know, and now we talk about it all the time. Yeah. You see me slathering on these hormones. So I want to know, so when you're sitting in the grill room, now that you're menopause educated and the men are like, oh yeah, she's not what she used to be, do you chime in and say, but do you realize what's going on? And plus, you're not what you used to be either.
I probably said something like that, and and assume I would have said something that, and I kind of regurgitated something that you had told me about it, one of those type things, and but I think men in general have, the way I was brought up, it was like shut the F up,
don't talk about it.
Don't talk about anything. You don't let your emotions go out. You don't tell anybody anything. And guys in my generation are more like that. The younger generation, I'm not sure, but there's more information out there now.
Yeah.
For younger people, so they kind of get it. Where we had an Encyclopedia Britannica if I want to find something out, and
For you young people, you don't know what that is.
And I had to go to a library to look something up, but now it's like click, click, click.
And it's all there.
So it's a little different nowadays, but I think men have to get past that stigma of having to talk about those intimacy things with their spouse. No matter what.
Because we have nothing to lose, right? Talking about it, there's nothing to lose. There's everything to gain. So I love what we've come up with, the reframing, the explanation, the open communication. So let's pivot a little bit to, just before this recording, I was out lifting heavy shit, like we like to say in menopause world, throwing some weight around. Talk to people about the physical, the attitudinal changes you've seen in me since I started really focusing on the lifestyle that I need to maintain.
Well, you're making me eat healthy, so that's the one thing. The hardest part about working out is getting started. Is making that step to go do it. And when I get into out of the blue, I was like, I'm just going to go start working out again. And then I'll go every day. I'll do my stuff. Blah 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 blah, and whatever. And then for some reason, I missed like 2 or 3, 4 days. I'm like, and I'm
not going.
And I kill it for like a month or so, or whatever it is. I've seen a whole attitude change when all of a sudden it's like you're looking in the mirror, going like, all right, my arms like when I developed, and pictures in a bathing suit or something like that. Oh my God, your whole body just kind of went, it just shrunk, and your whole attitude like totally changed about that type
because
of stuff.
Muscles are the Spanx of nature. Did you know that? It's not about losing weight; it's about growing muscles.
So, but that was the, and you can see a change in your attitude about a lot of things. Going like, oh my God, I didn't think I could lift that much right now.
Right.
And it's like boom, and I was saying, well, you kept on increasing, and all of a sudden, you're squatting, you're doing your deadlifts, you're doing all these different things that, even though you did it as a younger person, it was more of the foo-foo workout.
You know, and it's funny you say that. It was lighter weights, lots of reps, and lots of cardio,
Yeah.
tons of cardio. It was the time of that it was. And now that's totally shifted.
Yep. Yeah.
So in your Pittsburgh life, you guys owned a gym and you're used to training a lot of midlife women at that point. What would you say? I get a lot of feedback. Today I was talking online about lifting heavy. It was what we're talking about today. And I get a lot of feedback about women being afraid or not wanting to go to a gym because it's filled with all these muscly people. But tell us something to help women get over that, because you trained a lot of midlife women in your business in the past.
And I hate going to the gyms where all the muscle heads are at. I mean, because it's you know, you hear them grunting and hollering and dropping weights and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, Jesus Christ, just you know, stop doing it. I mean, if you can't put it down softly, don't lift it up. You know, it just drives me absolutely bonkers. I see that, and you see women who come in who are, you know, wearing the oversized T-shirt because they don't want anybody to really see their body, and then you see these young women out there, you know, basically look like they're strippers in a, you know, going to work out because they got these little outfits on and, you know, and parading around, and it's intimidating for women. And I think anybody, even a man who's not that fit to going in for the very first time, it's hard for him. But I think it's just like, all right, this the bull in the china shop. I'm going to do it.
Right.
I'm going to do it. I don't give it.
Worst thing that can happen.
I don't give two craps about anybody else around here. I'm going to do my workout and I'm going to do it. The problem that a lot of people have, and it drives me nuts with like everybody has a personal trainer and stuff like that. And personal trainers like to train people how they like to work out.
Oh.
And that always drove me nuts. Always drove me nuts. And I couldn't tell you, I was at a gym one time, just real quick, and they had a personal trainer working with this 14-year-old girl. And the guy had her doing these things. And I kind of just went up to Dad and said, I'm getting rid of this guy. I mean, I don't give a crap. If you want to keep doing it, fine. But I'm just telling you, this girl's going to get hurt. And that's the problem, that when people get personal trainers, they go to the gym, they don't have the proper techniques. They don't understand how to work out, and they don't understand anything. Their cardiovascular system, they don't understand what their heartbeats per minute is. They don't understand any of that stuff. And then when you get with a trainer and they kind of exacerbate it because they're doing it because they like it, not what's good for this person. And that's when you see people, these gym memberships skyrocket the first of the year. Then a month later, people don't go anymore. And I think that's the problem and I think women and men, what it is, you got to be a bull in the china shop, find out exactly what you need to do, get somebody who really knows what they're doing, and then you can just take it from there. And then you get the confidence to do it.
So I think that's actually excellent advice, that what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Just go. And then this is the time to invest in a vetted personal trainer, because it's just like a doctor. You have to like their bedside manner, just like any kind of service professional. Vet them. Do you get along with their personality? Do they know how to take care of someone like you? That's excellent advice. So, well, I hope that people will find interesting or helpful the three things we've suggested for couples to get through menopause together, which is to refrain the conversation, to start early, start in your mid-30s, to say, hey, just like you do your financial review, hey, we're entering another phase.
Oh, let me say this real quick.
Oh.
And don't go work out with your spouse right away, because there's going to be an argument somewhere. Go off, learn your stuff, and then if you're going to work out with your spouse, because you're going to be like, hey, just turn your body a little bit.
You would do that.
I would do that. That's the part of,
because you're a fitness guy. You're an athlete.
That's part of the reason why we don't work out. We don't work out together, because it's like, yeah, right, just stand. You're going to build up through here. Get in a little tighter. You will work your arm.
So don't tell me what.
Well, my trainer said this.
Train your wife.
My trainer said this. So.
Well, that leads me to the next point. I was talking about reframing, explaining, and then keeping better communication about this.
Yep.
Can you help all the guys in the grill room not to make fun of their wives in midlife? Can you be that kind of stand-up guy?
Actually, I think a lot of the guys are afraid of their wives, so nobody's making fun of anybody.
That's so great. Well, Peter, thank you so much for being on Hot for Your Health. Sorry it took us almost 12 years to get you here.
Thanks, honey.
I'm Dr. Vonda Wright. See you next week.